Officer Shepard, would you mind getting us started with an invocation?
How's everybody doing? Good? Good.
Yes, sir.
Kids live around?
Yeah, that is on fake. That's 58 of the. Let us pray before our meeting. Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight as we're getting ready to do the business of the city. And we just thank you, Lord, for this opportunity to come here to serve you and to live in a country it's free, that we can honor you and be able to worship you in everything we do. We ask, Lord, that you will bless this proceeding, that you will bless the employees of the city, bless the community, and just ask that you will watch over us and help us to serve. We ask all of this in your Son's name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. All right, I now call the April 5th, 2016 regular meeting of council to order. I ask that you all stand and we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. Hoffman, will you take roll call?
Mr. Meyer.
Here.
Mr. Burke.
Here.
Mr. Dunhoff.
Here.
Ms. Skidmore. Here. Ms. Sudkamp. Ms. Pitts.
Here.
Ms. Kyle.
Here.
Ms. Cahill. Mr. Cahill. Mr. Skidmore.
Here.
Mr. Blankenship.
Here.
Mr. Howard.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum. You've received a copy of the minutes for the March 1st, 2016 regular council meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to be made at this time? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion that we adopt as presented. Motion by Mrs. Kyle, second by Mr. Dunhoff. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, then next we'll move into the approval of the agenda for this evening. You've received a copy of the agenda for the April 5th, 2016 regular council meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to be made at this time? I'll entertain a motion that they be adopted as presented. Motion by Mrs. Kyle, second by Mr. Meyer. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, so we'll move into the special presentations for this evening. First item on the agenda here is our business spotlight. Mr. Kirkwood. Bob Kirkwood's here. Yeah, please.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having me here. I appreciate it. I'm Bob Kirkwood. I'm with Kirkwood Sweeper Shop in Erlanger, right here on Dixie Highway across from Johnny's Car Wash. This year, actually, we are celebrating our 45th year in business. We're a family business. We've been in business, like I said, 45 years. And we're in family business in the truest sense of the word. I'm a second generation. My dad started the business back in 1971. Ron Kirkwood was his name, and he passed away actually in 2011. We're also a family business because through the years I've had sisters, nephews, nieces, my children, my wife still works with me, my one daughter still works with me. So, it's all family. And with that, there's a lot of good things come from family businesses, but you also have some family business also brings some ugly things that can happen too. So I just want to bring up one point and mention, sorry to bring up a sour note, but I wanted to forewarn and give everybody a heads up. There is a competing Kirkwood Sweeper Shop that my brother Mark opened in Florence that is unfortunately not part of our agreement. So we're working on it right now, but I just want to give you a heads up. And actually what I want to do too, sorry I didn't bring it up for everybody, but there's some little coupons and little postcard we're sending out announcing all the information and giving everybody the right facts about things.
Great.
Like I said, we've been around for 45 years, and through the years we started in Florence and moved to Erlanger shortly after we opened at the location we are now. And then we opened a store in Florence in 1999. We moved our store in Campbell County to Cold Spring, where we are now, in 2000. And then in 2003, we actually rebuilt our store that we're at now in Erlanger. Matter of fact, I brought some pictures I was going to let you guys take a look at too. That gives you just a little picture history, if you will, of the goings on of rebuilding the new building. And actually, I bring that up too because the city of Erlanger was very gracious and was part of the whole process. When I started that process, I should say, I came before the city council to apply for a variance, and everything went very smoothly, and the city was very gracious to work with me on that, and it turned out to be quite a nice project that I think really helped put a new, nice, new, very attractive building right on Dixie Highway there in Erlanger. So, Kirkwood Sweeper Shop is your full-service vacuum store. We do everything from vacuum sales to repairs. We have all your different products, from supplies for our different vacuums, for any type of cleaning issue you might have when it comes to spot removers, carpet cleaners. We not only sell and service vacuums, but also commercial equipment, your carpet cleaners, floor machines, any type of commercial, industrial type business. We can cover the whole gamut of cleaning needs. If it comes to cleaning, we've got the product for you. And we also have a full service installation team that will be able to install a central vac system in your home. So we can even do that. We do service calls as well and repair on central vac systems as well. So when it comes to vacuums and cleaning of pretty much any nature, Kirkwood Sweeper Shop can help you and take care of that for you. So that's pretty much. Anybody have any questions or anything? Yeah.
First of all, I love your store. And
thank you.
I've been there. Do you guys do rental equipment for carpet cleaning at all?
We do. We rent the rug doctors out, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, glad you bring that up.
Yeah, I think you answered one of the questions I had. So you'll come out to someone's home and service their central vac system?
We will,
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
And, yeah, go ahead.
I just want to make a comment. Back in Hurricane Katrina, we had a family relocate here to Erlanger, and me and my wife went down and talked to you. When the store told you that we had a family, and her and her mother and 4 kids decided to stay here in Erlanger. When they stopped here, we had a meal one night. They liked Erlanger, they wanted to stay here.
Okay.
We were trying to get things for him, and he donated a sweeper for
Very
his
good.
family, and they
Good.
still have that sweeper today. And
Good.
They know where it came from, and they thank us all the time when they see us. So I just want to thank you for that also. So,
Very good.
good neighbor.
Thank you. Yep, I sure try to be. Thank you.
Yeah, right. Go ahead, Renee.
My daughter needed a bill for her vacuum, and she sent me up to your store, and I'm like, I don't have any idea what kind it is. And the lady that waited on me said, well, if you just tell me her last name, she says, I can look it up for you.
There you go.
Wow.
Good.
So that kind of bailed me out.
Good.
Very helpful.
Very good. We try really hard, so.
I just want to say I remember the old store, and I love the new one.
Good.
I really do. It's so nice.
Did you have to
And
climb
she's
those?
right. Whenever we go there, because I remember I was missing a part, and it was an old vacuum, and you had it. It was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome, you know? So, great store, great
Thank you.
family.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate
Yeah.
that. We, you can see from the pictures you went through, the old store had all the steps that went up
Yes.
that.
I forgot about that until I saw the picture.
That was very, people were grateful when they didn't have to do that anymore.
I think it's also good to know that both Bob and Bonnie are residents of Woodland Hills.
I meant to mention that, yes.
Yeah.
Right. We've been in Erlanger actually 27 plus years. I grew up right in Edgewood, but moved to Erlanger pretty much as soon as we got married almost, so, yeah.
I'm glad you're doing it, because I hear the vacuum business sucks.
That's right. Yeah. Yes, but we're cleaning up.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it a lot. Thank you. Appreciate it.
It just came to me. All right. The next item on the agenda is the award of financial reporting. Achievement, and that's for me. Actually, let's see. Do I have that here?
No, it's in my office.
Oh, okay.
You maybe want to get it real fast?
No, I don't know if we have to. I mean, this is something that we received over the last month. It is, Greg, you might have to help me out with this. The organization that we received this from is General Financing.
It's the Government Finance Officers of the United States and Canada. It's a large group. And it's the award that we've received is a Certificate of Excellence for Financial Reporting. This is, I forget how many years we've gotten this now. I want to say it's like 10 or 12, maybe more than that, consecutive, and then there was a break. And prior to that, I think we received it 7 or 8 years before that. So, and it's actually the highest award we can get in our business. We don't have a whole lot of awards that we get, but that's one that we submit our audit report to the organization every year. They review it to make sure that it meets all of their standards and in most cases exceeds them. And we were fortunate enough to get the award this year. So.
Yeah. Well, thanks to Greg and the work that he and Steve do to maintain that. It really is a high honor, high distinction. Greg has a plaque in his office that shows that, and glad to be able to add to that plaque each year. And you know, I was looking through the list of the local cities that also get the same distinction, and there really aren't that many around here. I mean, there's only a handful of other cities in the county. I mean, I can think of 2 other cities in the county, maybe 3, that get the same honor. So I'm very thankful for all the work that you do, Greg. All right, the next item we have is the service award presentation. Chief Wilson? Or no, I'm sorry. I know, I'm just reading.
I'm very proud to announce that Matt Kramer is here with his wonderful family to get his 10-year pin. And Lieutenant Lemming is going to be telling us a little bit more about that.
All right.
Congratulations.
Mayor, members of council, Sergeant Kramer started as a patrol officer for the city of Erlanger in 2006. Sergeant Kramer was promoted to a patrol sergeant in 2013. Sergeant Kramer has served as an SRT operator, field training officer, and a bike patrol officer. Sergeant Kramer oversees our field training program, which is one of the most vital programs we have within the police department, training our new officers. He also is in charge of many other collateral duties and assignments. Sergeant Kramer also holds the rank of captain in the United States Army Reserve and has served in 2 combat tours in Iraq. He has served our country for 18 years. Sergeant Kramer currently is the executive officer for the 478th Engineer Battalion stationed in Fort Thomas, Kentucky. Sergeant Kramer is probably one of our most valuable employees. Anytime that I need something done, Sergeant Kramer gets it done quickly. I'm sure he's going to get his 15, 20, and 25-year pin with the city of Erlanger, and he's probably also going to be standing up here in my place and Lieutenant Colonel Eagler's place someday. So we're proud to have him, and I'm very proud to work with him. Congratulations.
Thank you all. I want to start off saying thank you to former Chief Fields for giving me the job, taking a chance on me, even after derogatory comments about the Marine Corps my first day, which was, didn't realize until I saw the saber behind him. So that was a bad start for me, but it worked out. I appreciate the command staff's opportunities they've given me. These 10 years have gone by really fast. My family has, of course, stayed behind me, and they've sacrificed just as much as I have, and I appreciate that. The whole city, you know, my family has been through a lot the last 2 years. We will always be indebted to what the city has given to us, not just the police department, but the fire department, public works, and the city side of everyone who's really made this place a family for us and got us through some rough times. So I just want to thank you, and, I'll be looking forward to the next 10, 15 years. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next item we have is a proclamation. We've got a special guest this evening. We've got Joe Rapp in the audience, and I'd like to go ahead and read this proclamation. Proclamation by the mayor of the city of Erlanger, Kentucky, to all to whom these presents shall come. Whereas Josephine Ann Rapp, the youngest daughter of 4 children, was born on April 19th, 1916, into a loving family of Lebanese immigrants that realized the importance of hard work. Her parents owned a pool hall in downtown Cincinnati on 4th and Sycamore. Growing up, she loved school, but began working at an early age. Always a positive person with an upbeat outlook on life, her resilient nature has carried her through many struggles. And whereas Mrs. Rapp married to Charles C. Rapp on June 22nd, 1940, they were blessed with 10 children and raised the family in Bellevue for over 40 years. They celebrated 62 years of marriage before his passing. Her true passion has been her children. She never misses a birthday for her 28 grandchildren, 45 great-grandchildren, and 5 great-great-grandchildren. And whereas Mrs. Rapp is a lifelong learner, accomplished cook, superior seamstress, and a master creator of crafts. She is a successful fundraiser and philanthropist. The last 34 years, Jo has been a leading member at St. Barb's Catholic Church in Erlanger, Kentucky, where she has played an instrumental part of the incredible growth at her parish. She is also a member of the Red Hats, the Crafty Ladies, Beech Grove Homemakers, St. Barb's Seniors, and the Bereavement Committee. And whereas Mrs. Rapp spreads hope to every person she has ever touched and never misses an opportunity to help others. She's a beautiful soul that loves life with every breath and shares that love with all of her family and friends. And whereas living 100 years is rare and it deserves to be celebrated in a special way, the city of Erlanger joins in celebrating Josephine Rapp's 100th birthday and wishes her many more years of love and happiness. Now, therefore, I, Tyson Hermes, Mayor of the City of Erlanger, Kenton County, Kentucky, do hereby proclaim April 19th, 2016, to be Josephine Ann Rapp Day in Erlanger, and do commend its observance to all our citizens, given under my hand and the seal of the City of Erlanger on this 5th day of April, 2016. Joe?
That's great. 27 years.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for bringing your family. Thank you. Of course. What's that?
You don't want to sit through our boring meeting?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you don't have to stay.
No, please.
You might miss something good, though.
Maybe like another one of your jokes.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
The sweetheart.
All right, I was thinking about making that part of my mayor's report, since I knew that that would take a little bit of time. There were a few dates coming up here that I just wanted to mention, though, and really one of them is something that comes by every month, and I just wanted to try to recommend anybody that might have interest to attend the Kenton County Mayor's Group meetings. They're always on the third Saturday of the month, and the trouble with these meetings, in my opinion, is that, I mean, I guess it's a blessing and a curse at the same time. We change locations every month. And it seems to, like, if you miss a meeting, you don't know where the next one's going to be. And so I'd like to just make sure that everybody realizes it's going to be, I'm going to pull up the calendar here. It's right here. Let's see. April 16th. At 9 a.m. at the Edgewood Senior Center is the next meeting. So there's usually a pretty good attendance of mayors that are there. A lot of times the judge executive is also there. And we also have representatives typically from the water district and the sanitation district. And it's a good chance that, if you have any items or issues that you want to bring up, you get a captive audience, and you get the word out to a lot of people all at once. And so I'd highly recommend attending if you can.
What time does that start, Mayor?
It's 9 a.m., and there's typically breakfast as well. It is a Saturday. All right, the next item on the agenda is under reports and committees and public safety. We'll move to police with Mrs. Kyle.
Yes, I have a few items I want to highlight from our February report. The firearms simulation training has been completed, and this was sponsored by the Kentucky League of Cities, and our city hosted it, of course. And 12 local police departments utilized the training, and a total of 201 officers, local military, and civilian students participated. So if you ever get a chance to do it, it's lots of fun. The other thing is we want to report progress on the upgrade to the city's buildings video system and the door security. And there's one other thing. Sergeant Claire went to a trial in South Carolina for a defendant facing trial on 2 counts of homicide and 1 count of arson. And Sergeant Claire was involved in a 22-mile pursuit of a stolen vehicle in June of 2013. Where the suspect was eventually apprehended in Cincinnati. And so she, of course, went down and testified. She attended all 4 days of the trial. The defendant was found guilty on all counts and sentenced to 2 life sentences plus 30 years. So just wanted to recognize her for that. Awesome. Good job. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you. I see Lieutenant Colonel Eagler's in the room. All right, thank you. All right, next up we've got Public Safety, Fire, and EMS. Mrs. Skidmore, Mr. Meyer.
Okay, for my part of it, in the month of March, there were 94 fire incidents, and of those 94 fire incidents, 10 of them were actually fires, and then the other 84 were various fire incidents. And it was 894 total for EMS and fire for the year so far.
To report, Captain McQuarrie is in the house. Captain McQuarrie, anything to add?
All right, thank you. All right, next up then we have Public Works. Mr. Skidmore.
Yes, I'd like to congratulate Public Works employee Chris Turner and Joe Teeson for the achievement of getting their Bobcat operation certificates on March the 23rd. And I'd like to mention that they are doing a study with the state on a traffic light for Dulwick and Crescent Springs Road.
All right.
Bogart's in the house. Do you have anything?
No, sir. The only thing we've got is on the 19th. We have it listed to discuss that project at the depot. So
Okay. On the 19th, they have a committee meeting to discuss the deck project at the depot. Did you catch that, Sherry?
Yes, I did.
Okay. All right. Then moving on, we've got administration. Mr. Howard?
Yes, Mayor. On my agenda tonight's got the report on the committee meeting from the Key Performance Indicators meeting, and it was a big, long report, and I think Mark Fields did a real good job making that presentation.
Pretty good.
Really good. Really good job.
Wow.
He's competing with Tyson on the humor thing.
Is that what he's doing? Okay.
Keeping in the theme of today.
So, we like it because he goes fast. No, this time he went slow, though. So, let that give you all that. Also, property taxes collected in March were $30,702, which gives us a total of $4,143,642 collected for the tax year 15-16, and we still have $73,693 delinquent for this tax year coming up still. So, also, there are a couple from the Human Resources report. There's a couple job postings coming up, and there's a position open for the Communication and Public Relations Manager, and that was posted in-house, and you can check the Erlanger website for job qualifications and putting in that application. Also, there's a position open for Public Works and as a seasonal worker, and that was also posted in-house, and it's also on the city's website as well. So those job opportunities are available for anybody in the city. So right now, so a couple upcoming events for our from our Parks program is they're having a star party at Flagship Park on April 16th, and the Cincinnati Observatory will bring telescopes to Flagship Park for residents to look at the moon and Jupiter up close, weather permitting. And also on April 23rd, it's going to be Putt-Putt Day at Erlanger, and residents will receive one free game of putt-putt with an Erlanger ID, and it's also weather permitting. And I believe Sherry Hoffman's in the house. And
I don't have anything to add, sir.
All right, thank you.
And a report.
All right, thank you. Moving on, we've got Economic Development and Finance. Mr. Blankenship, Mrs. Pitts.
Well, Kermit has laryngitis, so I'll give the report.
When am I so quiet?
Comedian.
What's up with that?
I can barely talk right now.
Sorry.
Okay, staff's been finalizing work on the fiscal year 2016 and the amended budget and the fiscal year 2017 proposed budget. We're requesting a Finance Committee meeting for April 19th in order to present the changes that have been made to the budget since the March 5th council budget retreat. And Greg and Steve are in the house.
All right, thank you. Moving on, then we've got Codes, Building, and Zoning. Mr. Dunhoff, Mr. Burke.
We have no report other than Mr. Hahn sent everybody out a report. If you have any questions, contact him. He'll be more than glad to answer them, and he is in the house.
Mr. Hahn. All right, thank you. And then we've got Progress and Revitalization. Mrs. Pitts, Mr. Cahill's not here.
We're tabling the rental ordinance because there's a few bugs they need to work out, and everything else is just work in progress.
All right. Anything to add there, Mr. Hahn? Okay, thank you. All right, you've heard the reports of our committees.
Mayor.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry, Renee.
You had the logo thing under.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to just report progress, and then if there's already a committee meeting scheduled for the 19th, which there is, we'll piggyback onto that one.
Okay, great. All right, any other items? Sorry, I missed you. All right, you've heard the reports of our committees. Do I entertain a motion that we adopt as presented? Motion by Mrs. Kyle, second by Mrs. Pitts. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. All right, reports of the representatives. Are there any reports from any representatives this evening? Go ahead, Renee.
Okay, it makes it great because Kenton County Alliance has their meeting on the first Tuesday, and then we have our meeting in the evening, so it works out really good. It was a very busy meeting, very informative. They talked about underage drinking risks, and it talks about, it's called alcopops, like alcohol and pop in your soft drink, and the distributors or the manufacturers of these alcoholic drinks for kids are being mixed in the coolers, and they're just available. The kids just walk up and get them, and sometimes the kids don't even realize that they're getting these alcoholic beverages. An alcoholic beverage does not have to say that it's an alcoholic beverage. A fruit drink, on the other hand, has to say what all's in it. It's just kind of really weird. There's a couple of bills that are actually on the governor's desk at this time. It's made it all the way through the governor that he can actually approve these bills. So they talk about alco pops. They're malt beverages with special appeal to youth with sweet flavors that mask the taste of alcohol. Cool names, bright packaging, high alcohol percentages, and labels which resemble non-alcoholic products. Alco Pops no longer have caffeine. They are available in all sizes with no alcohol. It's called a binge drink in a can. And you can actually go to, I think it was KentuckyPrevention.org. It will tell you everything that basically that I've said. It'll elaborate it a little bit more. Yeah, kyprevention.com. And the girl that spoke, she was just fascinating to listen to her. And then I also wanted to touch base a little bit on City Government Day that we had. Oh, yeah. It was really good. Bill Howard, of course, borrowed the tank bus again, and we wanted one that had the Kenton County Alliance logo on it, and Bill promised me if they let him pick his own bus, that was one he would pick. But they made him drive a new bus.
Brand new bus. A brand new bus.
700 miles on him, and it still smelled like it. Wow. So, but and as we rode, we went all over town, talked about different things. The population in 1880 was right out here about a mile from the city building. Out at the airport, they've got one of those nice historic plaques there that this was the center of the United States population. And it's got the UDF ice cream again. Very, very, it's sought after. These kids are only allowed to do it one time. It's 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and they're only allowed to do it one time because there's such a, and it's based on, I think, academics, list that these kids have to complete before they can even be considered. So it was great. And the mayor has asked that everybody write an article about something this year for the paper, so I wrote my article on that, so cross me off the list.
It was a very nice article. Not crossing you off, though. I'd have to ask you to write another one. That was great. Yeah, thank you for doing that. All right, are there any other reports from representatives this evening? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the reports of city operations. City Engineer, Mr. Viox.
Yes, sir. On the railroad underpass update, if you recall, 2 meetings back, I reported that the Public Works Department had assembled a lot of estimate information that was used for the purpose of putting some numbers in the budget proposal. And since that time, we've come up with a number of issues that we're trying to address as far as whether we'd be permitted to make these improvements. In a discussion today with a group including city attorney and city manager, myself, and Mr. Bogard, we decided it was prudent to try to get the highway department and the railroad together with us and make sure that what we were going to be permitted to do and at what time and under what kind of conditions before we move forward with spending money. So the highway department has expressed support, but only when we're ready to start. And they said they weren't going to spend a nickel until they were sure we were going to be doing it. So we think we need to get our ducks in a row and get that meeting put together. On April the 18th, we're going to be taking bids on 3 projects. One is the resurfacing of Hallam Avenue from Dixie Highway back to Mary Street. Second is that Nelson Road sidewalk that we've been discussing for over a year. And third is the renovation of the walls here at the city building. The walls around the city building are going to necessitate us scurrying to find some contractors that might do that kind of work, but we think we have pinpointed a few. So hopefully we'll get more than one bid in that regard. The last thing that I have are 2 projects that we currently have under contract that have a need for some additional cost. The reason I'm bringing them to you is we're trying to make sure Greg's department gets another award by keeping track of all our dollars. And so, even though that at the time we took bids on these projects, I gave you an estimate of cost that showed an anticipated extra work in it. At the time we did that, the action only included the bid itself, so there was no approval to spend the dollars, even though they were listed in my estimate and were within the budget. Therefore, the reason for the additional need at this particular point is the Public Works Department has identified a problem over in Fairlawn Drive, which is connected to Spring Valley Drive, which is one of the streets we're rebuilding. And that problem is that there's a drainage issue that's causing water to intrude on the street and actually going to impact potentially the new pavement. We have a unit price in our contract with our contractor for edge drains, and the Public Works Committee or the department would like to extend that system around Fairlawn Drive to intercept that water. So I would like for the council to approve up to $4,000 to resolve that problem during that construction. And we'll need action.
Right, so we've got a motion by
I'll make
Ms.
a motion that we do this. Something has to do to stop erosion. $4,000.
So, let's see, do we need to verbalize that?
Verbal vote's fine.
Okay.
Go second.
Okay, so we've got a motion and a second by Mr. Burke. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
I will point out that project was a $500,000 project, so we're only adding $4,000 to it, so it's very infinitesimal. The second one is an issue associated with managing industrial traffic on a project. We are replacing pavement in the industrial park off of Erlanger Crescent Springs Road. It's called Enterprise. It's a dead-end street that carries a tremendous amount of traffic. The reason it's in need of replacement was because of the volume of traffic and the heavy loading that's impacted the street since it was built in the early 70s. During the contact of Mr. Bogard and his staff and the calls we've got from the industries back there, there's been a concern about the management of the tractor-trailer traffic and the operation of their business during the street replacement. So they investigated a method through our contractor, and the contractor actually came up with a solution to satisfy them by doing the intersection that has the most traffic of tractor-trailers on it over a weekend with very heavily supported cement in the concrete. That project is $300,000, and he indicated that there will only be addition of up to $6,000 to resolve the issue. So we think the $6,000 well spent to satisfy the movement of industrial traffic in that subdivision when we're doing it. So I need action.
So this is to spend an additional $6,000 or just $6,000
Up to additional $6,000. And I will point out that this is way under our budget. We were $440,000 under our budget when the bids were taken, so we're well within our budget.
Motion by Mr. Dunhoff, second by Mrs. Pitts. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
That's all I have, sir.
Thank you, sir. All right, next report is from the city attorney, Mr. Gatlin.
Yeah, I'll just give a little bit of a progress update on our negotiations with SD1. We are getting very far down the path where SD1 is going to be changing the interlocal agreement. There's actually a draft I received today from General Counsel that will have SD1 paying for all repairs in the lateral lines. I'm sorry, all repairs of the lateral lines within the right-of-way, and also paying and being responsible for the surface restoration and the costs associated therein. So I think that agreement will take about a day or two to tweak. We've been kind of redlining it back and forth, and then I will go to the 13 cities that are involved with this to make sure everyone is on board with the new interlocal agreement. So my hope would be is by the next council meeting, we would be presenting a new interlocal agreement where in essence SD1 is kind of done a 180 on this issue. So big thanks to Mayor Hermes, Mayor Reinersman down in Independence, Mayor Matone in Park Hills, and also the County Judge Executive, Knockelman, has been very instrumental in helping get this through. So that's all I have.
Thank you. All right, next up we've got the city council attorney, Mr. Wickman.
Yes, sir. The energy franchise ordinances are on the agenda. And in addition to that, I can report that there has been some progress on the property on 811 Stevenson Road. It's moving like a glacier, but it is moving. We received an email today from the sub-department, I guess you'd call it, of Citibank, which is the bank that foreclosed on the property, that the checks to pay the city for the nuisance assessments are in the mail. Those checks were a condition to the master commissioner issuing a deed for the property, since the bank bought the property in at the foreclosure. Once the bank gets that deed, they are then in a position to evict the persons that are presently in the property, and they've indicated that they will do that as soon as they can. My estimate would be probably 2 months.
Okay. Thank you. All right, then the next up we've got our city administrator, Mr. Fields.
I've got a couple things. We opened up the bids for the facility study and firehouse study on Friday. I had some conversations with the mayor this afternoon. We'd like to put together a special committee. These are pretty in-depth kind of proposals, so they need to be vetted, I think, very thoroughly. So what we're asking for is for 3 members of city council to serve on this committee. My recommendation to the mayor was Mr. Meyer, Mr. Blankenship, and Mr. Cahill for the 3 members of council. So if that meets your all's approval, we'd love to move forward with that and start that process. I was hoping that we could maybe have a committee meeting on the 19th. It seems like the 19th is getting a little full now. So maybe we can at least put that on the agenda for the 19th, and we may be able to discuss then, coming up with a recommendation that we could recommend on the 3rd when the first meeting in May comes along. Along with that, there's going to be staff members a part of that committee, and we talked about having fire, police, public works, and myself included in that, so along with the mayor in that committee. So I will be sending out, if that's good. Yes?
I think that sounds great.
You all willing to serve on that?
Yes.
I will be making copies. Sherry and I will make copies of those proposals, and we will be getting to them to you as soon as possible. Okay, so we can move forward on that. Also, I received this week or last week, I guess, a request from St. Elizabeth Hospital to do a study for a traffic signal at the intersection of Dalwick and Crescent Springs Road. I explained to them that the process right now While it was still our road, Crescent Springs Road was still ours. We'd be going to the state at some point in time in the near future, but we would request that. I sent it to Mr. Bogart. He got that in motion. We have been contacted back by the state, so they will be doing a traffic study there. I would be very surprised if that traffic study doesn't come up with putting a traffic light there. I would venture to say that with the added traffic of the new hospital facility, they'll probably get one. Later tonight, you're going to be hearing the first reading of an annexation ordinance. This annexation ordinance covers the area of on Crescent Springs Road where R.A. Jones exists and everything down that I would call the north side of Floridian Drive, which is the road parallel to the Tuas property. Just to give you a little update on this, I've been in conversations for probably about 2 months with the county. The county is supportive of this effort for us to move forward with this. We plan on, after having this first reading, Mr. Hahn and I are going to be meeting with the property owners, and we're hoping to come to some kind of agreement with them to move forward and have the second reading of this ordinance at our next meeting or subsequent meeting after that. If you have any questions about that, please feel free to give me a call. Come see me. The codification. This is a process. We've been working. I've met with every department so far. We still have some work to do in administration since we have the largest part of that codification. There are going to be many changes that we are going to be proposing from things that have been adopted over the years and methods of operation that we've adopted over the years that aren't reflected correctly now. So we're hoping to do that in maybe one sweeping ordinance of some kind to change all of these. So there's a lot of changes, so it's going to be a very time-consuming effort for us, and we've spent a lot of time on it so far. Our deadline has been extended. We had 30 days. We asked for a little more time. I'm not sure the exact amount of time they gave us, Mr. Gallen or Mr. Wickman, I'm not sure.
June 30th, I believe.
June 30th. We'll make the June 30th date, guarantee you. If not, you can hold me responsible for that one, but we'll make that date. As soon as we have all that together, we will be presenting that to council. Also, on the 19th, we've been in contact, Mr. Bogart has, with Duke. We talked a little bit about this in one of our committee meetings, talking about the savings that we can see by switching some of our lighting. We've got some proposals from Duke just to talk about the outside of this facility, starting with. And they have a program right now where they're going to share the cost with us. I'm not sure exactly what the program is called, but they will share the cost of making this change with us. Everything that we can see so far in these proposals, somewhere around 30 months with our initial investment. 30 months it'll take us to pay that initial investment off with the savings that we're going to see. And then after that, everything is going to be clear savings to the city. And we're talking several $1,000s a year. We're not talking just a few hundred. It was amazing of just the difference we've done. If you've seen around the building so far, if you've been in some of the offices that are in the process, I think these lights are going to be changed very shortly. You're going to see some removed. There's been changes all out throughout this building, inside and some of our other facilities, going to the new lighting. I think we're going to see some cost savings along that line just right now. If you remember, this year we put in the budget also to start replacing street lights with that same LED technology. That's going to begin. We haven't done anything yet, have we, Mr. Bogart?
No, sir. The agreement's been signed with Duke to change out the first line.
The first intersection you're going to see is Kenton Lands Road and Riggs Avenue, right by the library, that whole intersection by the library where Halbert, Riggs, and all that comes together. You'll see that. You should see an improved lighting, and you're also going to see some huge cost savings. You know, per light, it's about $10 a month savings that we're seeing. And I forgot the number of lights that we have right off the top of my head, but there's several hundred throughout the city. So you can just imagine what we can see if we keep down that road and start that progress. So we'd like to have an update or on that 19th also, that committee meeting. I believe that's it. Also, I hope you all got my report from the last one, I think, about Commonwealth Avenue here and what we did when we walked down Commonwealth Avenue. All that has been addressed, hopefully, with some citations and some conversations with some owners of those properties. So that ought to be moving along and that getting cleaned up. Along with that, you know, we talked before, and I think Mr. Meyer asked me this question at one point in time when we talked about the KPIs and we were doing some things. We have sent out 207 letters to date now for outstanding citations, parking citations that are owed to the city of Erlanger. It goes from the year 2012 till now. So it wasn't as many as I thought it would be, but but to that date, I guess this was last week when we sent those out, we have 207. So just to keep y'all in the loop of that, we're trying to go forth and collect some of those also. And we've been working with Mr. Hahn and Mr. Stewart. We're going to have a new building permit. It's in the budget this year to do a new building permit software. And when we got looking at this building permit software, we also figured out, so we're making the right move with codes enforcement or nuisance enforcement. We can also track that. So some of the things, just like one of the houses down here on Commonwealth Avenue, this would have been able to be put together very simply if we had had this new software in place. One of the houses that was complained about actually had building permits. And actually when we went to the house that day, the owner of the house was in there doing the work, and lo and behold, he had all the permits from Mr. Stewart. If we would have been able to put two and two together that night when Mr. Francis was here, we could have advised him of that. Hopefully this new program will be able to do that. We had to buy a new building permit software anyway. This one's not being supported any longer, and the company that they've picked to go to is one that can take all the data and get it converted right into the new system. So it's just going to be seamless, hopefully, and we can add all of the codes enforcement to that. So that's hopefully the way we're going to move, so we can start putting those two and two together with those things. So that's it, sir.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I was pleased to see one of those houses just this evening as I was driving down Commonwealth. They were putting new siding on it. One of the ones that Mr. Francis had pictures of. Yeah. All right, you've heard the reports of our representatives and city operations. Do I entertain a motion that we adopt as presented? Motion by Mr. Howard, second by Mr. Meyer. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. I just realized, Randy, that we keep asking you to talk. If you want to do your hand, then.
The tie's loud enough, right?
All right, next up is correspondence. Mrs. Hoffman, do we have any correspondence this evening?
We do. The city of Erlanger received a card from Nick and Brittany, parents of Brooklyn. They expressed their appreciation for Erlanger's support and generosity for their daughter and for participating in their Smile for Brooklyn pink ribbon tying event.
All right, thank you. Any other correspondence? All right, moving on, then we've got the citizen public comments. We've got one name on the list here, Mr. James Brown. All right, thank you. Anybody else? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to bids. Mrs. Hoffman, Mr. Viox, anybody this evening? None? Okay. Any old business? Unfinished business? All right, seeing none. Does anybody have any new business to discuss?
Mayor, I do.
Go ahead, Mr. Meyer.
I would just like to ask for, add one more item to the committee meetings for the 19th to discuss the possibility of taking some or all of the sidewalk repair and maintenance back under city control versus all for the owners. I've looked around at some of the area or neighboring cities, and some of them have carve-outs for some hazardous opportunities for the city to do that maintenance repair. So I wanted to discuss what the impact of that would be and discuss what we could do about that.
Okay. Thank you. Any other new business? All right, seeing none, then we'll move on to legislation. First one is an ordinance regarding the fees for electrical inspections. Second reading.
This is an ordinance of the City of Erlanger in Kenton County, Kentucky, adopting the 2013 Building Code and Residential Codes and repealing all prior ordinances in conflict therewith, designating the enforcement officer and building inspection program, as well as a schedule of fees for permits and/or inspections by summary. This ordinance was requested by the state and really, in essence, doesn't change what has been happening here, that the Erlanger City Council designates that the city's general government department is the local enforcement agency for the said Kentucky Building Code and Kentucky Residential Code, and it unifies the fee schedule, which is attached. Maybe it's attached.
All right, do I entertain a motion that we adopt as presented? Motion by Mr. Dunhoff, second by Mr. Burke. Any discussion? All right, it's a roll call vote.
Ms. Skidmore? Yes, ma'am. Mr. Meyer?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Blankenship? Yes, ma'am. Mr. Howard?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Pitts?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Kyle?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Burke?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Dunhoff?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Skidmore?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, motion carried. Second one is an ordinance regarding the rental permit. You can see we're going to table that, is that right?
Right.
Okay. All right, the next one then is the ordinance regarding annexation, first reading.
This is an ordinance proposing to annex certain unincorporated territories within the county of Kenton, Kentucky, and contiguous to the present boundary lines of the city of Erlanger, Kentucky, and defining by metes and bounds the territory proposed to be annexed. Specifically, the City Council of the Erlanger declares that it is desirable to annex the within described territory and intends to annex and hereby proposes to annex to its present boundaries and include the same. You'll see attached is Exhibit A, which has been prepared by the city engineer, that it is a 52.879 acre parcel located in Kenton County, Kentucky, lying on the east side of Erlanger Crescent Springs Road and the north and south side of Interstate 75. It is more particularly described by that meets and bounds description, that after the first reading and within 14 days prior to the second reading, the city clerk will issue letters by certified mail to all affected property owners.
All right, I just ask that we note the first reading. Next item is an ordinance regarding the Duke Energy franchise, first reading.
It's an ordinance of the City of Erlanger in Kenton County, Kentucky, accepting the bid and granting to Duke Energy Kentucky, Inc. a non-exclusive franchise for the use of the public streets, alleys, and other public grounds of the city for the transmission and distribution of both natural gas and electricity and for consumption within the city for the period of July 1, 2016 through June 30th, 2019. By summary, the ordinance grants a franchise to Duke pursuant to the description of the ordinance that's in Erlanger Ordinance 2378, which includes a 3% fee.
All right, I just asked the city clerk to note the first reading. Next one then is an ordinance regarding the OEC franchise, first reading.
It's an ordinance of the City of Erlanger in Kenton County, Kentucky, accepting the bid of and granting to Owen Electric Cooperative, Inc. a non-exclusive franchise for the use of the public streets, alleys, and other public grounds of the city for the transmission and distribution of electricity through and for consumption within the city for the period of July 1, 2016 through June 30th, 2019. Like the ordinance granting the Duke franchise, this ordinance also grants a franchise to Owen Electric, but it's only for electricity and not for gas since they aren't in that business. It's pursuant to Erlanger Ordinance 2378, which describes the particulars of the ordinance, including a 3% fee.
All right, I ask that the city clerk also note the first reading of that ordinance. With that, if there's no other items, then I ask that we motion for adjournment. Motion by Mr. Dunhoff, second by Mrs. Pitts. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.